Welcome to another video here at my YouTube channel. My name is Tom. My call sign is Lima Bravo 6 Quebec Juliet. Today I want to talk about my QTH. Actually, my first QTH where I'm not that much on. So it's a little bit weird one, but I want to put up I wished to put up a antenna at my dad's location where he lives. Eventually, I will take over the farm, and my dad. It's 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 an old pig farm that my dad doesn't have any animal there, but eventually I will take over it, and when he passes away. And I asked him nicely if I could set up an antenna at his house, and he said yes. So I put it up on my bedroom. It's an old house. We are starting to go through some renovation on it. Slowly but surely, the house will be finished. But um, also, I'm afraid, really afraid of heights. So my dad, he was up in the ladder at the very top of the house, and it can be, of course, shown here at the picture. I hasn't taken much video because my dad, he doesn't want to be on camera. So, but I did take a lot of pictures. So that's what I'm going to try to do here. It's a completely unscripted video, so there might be some double up video where a lot of bad pictures and stupid pictures and stuff like that. All right, next picture. So what I did while he was while he was doing the antenna at the roof, I did everything that I could to make his work easier. Plus, holding the ladder with my dearest life because I'm afraid of heights. Because it was not completely safe, but as safe as it could be. Here on the roof, we have the antenna brackets, where the antenna is going to sit in the hole, plus this one that is just a regular antenna bracket from Biltema. I don't have the numbers here, what it is, and this is a hammer. Oh. Okay, next slide. So on the very top of the house, it's the basically as far as you can get it. We do have this U-shape thingy where you're putting the pipe down, and it will be fastened down to the bracket that is going onto the wall. So it's not complicated, just really high. And what he did was to bring out the laser, so he could like align the brackets to each other, like the top bracket and lower bracket, and align them so the pipe would fit through all of the holes on the wall. And it worked. It's a good laser that he used, and yeah, that worked. It went all the way on top. So the next thing was basically making the wire, the connector onto the wire. So I used an RJ58 with a PL259, and we all know that you have to solder, you have to shrimp it, and finally I got a good enough tool where I could do it. But what I forgot home was the tool that you place over once and then twist around, so it will basically cut the coaxial cable at the correct length all the time. But I forgot it home, so I have to do all of the cutting manually on the wire and the netting and the core itself. I had to do all the cutting, but it did work eventually. And here again, here is the shrinking tool, and I'm so glad that I bought that tool because, wow. And I think I got that tool on Simarud, and it is for RJ58 and two other types of wires also. Okay, so here it is again. And again, but here shows the correct how it is done. It works pretty good. So when that one is done, you have to solder inside of it, but that's not what I'm doing here. What I'm doing is to place a shrinking tube, and then you could use like a flame, which I just don't do because I don't smoke anymore. But some people, they think all you have to do is to use a flame. But when you're using a flame for a substantial amount of time, you actually making the shrinking wire so dry that it could actually just go into many pieces. So what I figured out is that you're using soldering iron to go over. So if this is the shrinking tube, you just take the soldering iron over and under and every single surface area of the shrinking tube, and it uses the heat from the from the soldering iron, transfer that over to the tube, shrinking shrinking tube, so it will basically shrink it based with the heat of the iron. I think said that correctly. All right, but anyway, I think you understand what I was doing. The next one is I taped it as good as I could. I used a tape called Vulk tape. I don't know the English word for it, but I used that a lot on the wire itself, and I think I did that. Yeah, I did that also on the plug itself also, so the water will not have any path whatsoever into the joints here. So all over the places I did as much as I could. I couldn't do it on top because over here because of the socket pipe that is going in there. But here you see it. I used a lot of Vulk type. Sorry, but I don't know the English word for it. But it will make everything bone dry as long as it's up there, and I made sure to use plenty out of it. So here's the finish with the result of the Vulk type, and the next step is to use electric tape as much as possible. Because the Vulk type is water resistant but not UV resistant, so you kind of have to use electrical tape around that, or I think it's called PVC tape. That's just how it is done. Okay, the next after that is that I was a little bit stupid, so I had to thread the the pipe onto like the end of the wire, was like 20 meters of wires. And then my dad, he came with up an idea. Again, he is an old pig farmer. He's not old, but it's been a long time since he did the pig farm. But the fences inside of the pig farm, they're still there, and we could just cut off a piece of a fence and use that. So approximately a little over a meter of fencing pipe that we could use, and it worked pretty good. So here's the finished setup. So the antenna is a Diamond X50, and you having this pipe that came with it plus the fastening brackets here. Then we had just an old pipe just lying around from the fence. And I have, unfortunately, I have forgot a lot of stuff from the radio course. So, but I put up a dirty balloon. But some people are calling it a tension relief. But it is not. It's technically a dirty balloon, but it works as a noise filter as far as I remember it. I might be wrong. But it is up there, and I just take one circle around, approximately 7 to 10 centimeter in diameter, and there you go. The next after that was to bring the antenna up on the roof and do that. I was holding the letter for my dear life, and hold it while taking some pictures here and there. I could not take any pictures of my dad being up there because he doesn't like to be on the camera, and I do respect that. And there are some wires again and again, and there's the antenna. So my dad, he did a great job. So here it is. Everything works okay. So it was really clever of him bringing out the laser so we could align this bracket there. I'm not quite sure what it's called, but anyway, it does work. And by an accident, it was a little bit offset. So, but that went to our benefits because the pipe were in full tension, especially up here, because you kind of have to bend it a little bit before you went down into this socket. And the pipe itself went into tension, and that's a good thing. Less work for him to hold the pipe while holding his life in the ladder, while fasten the pipe itself, basically. What I was hoping that he would do was actually to bring the cable, the RJ58 cable, to down to the pipe to the bracket here, and then just continue on the wall. But he didn't want to do that. He took the antenna and just the wire directly and went straight in as good as he could do it. Which all right, it works. Next picture, I took a lot of picture of this because I wanted to like show everyone how it was. But on the roof, actually on the opposite of the roof now, into my bedroom, I took this picture when it went in. Why I don't know, but on the whole, you kind of have to use like I used a clear silicone. Actually, my dad used this clear silicone on it, so water wouldn't go into the wall and make moles and all that kind of stuff. So there's the antenna. It's basically up and running. So the next step for me was to go into my bedroom and just continue on the roof with the cable, and it worked. So and that is actually from today. This picture is from today. So I didn't have the tool to cut the wire correctly, so I had to do everything manually, but it works. So I just sitting there with a knife very carefully, then took the first layer of the PVC layer off, then I cut a little bit onto the netting or the grounding or whatever I want to call it. Just a few, I don't know, like 3 or 4 centimeters, perhaps, something like that. Then the last step. So this is on the floor. We are working on the renovation of the house. So here's, I said, the inner core, the plastic tube, the netting, and then the PVC part of it. So one, two, three, four elements of the RJ48 cable, 58. And now it is actually a really good time to just think before you do. And a lot of people are doing these mistakes. And I was watching on YouTube months ago about a video that says, do this first before you do the plug. Or else you have to snip it and do it all over again. And that can be a little bit expensive every time you're making a cable and you're forgetting everything at the same time. So I have the habit of doing this before I'm doing that. Now I do, but I could probably do a lot of mistakes in the future when it comes to this part again. But anyway, so here's the plug. It's a RJ58 to PL259, and it works pretty good. I like it. The netting could have been a little bit shorter because when you're putting the plug down, it kind of expands the netting just a little bit. So that means that the netting is a little bit too long. You could take it off and just snip very, very carefully to it. But I didn't do it, and you are getting a somewhat better ground to the plug while doing this. And you know, on the tubing itself. So yeah, it works pretty good. So here is this it's been shrinked on the tool. Then I use the soldering iron and went over the shrinking tube, so it will just shrink. I didn't use any lighter or open flames and stuff like that. I'm always using the soldering iron on the shrinking tube, and it works really good. But you have to be careful. And you have to be somewhat fast on that. So I was also soldering the plug itself, but I don't have three hands, so I couldn't show it. But here is basically the end result of the cable. More of that basically. Now here is some very interesting stuff. I got some weird result, but according to the measurement that I did, the SWR, and I might be wrong on this one. I don't remember everything from the calibration of the Nano VNA, but it does show me it's not 250 meters, so that's a little bit odd why it's there. But what it shows me is 1.069. It doesn't make any sense. I have not seen that low a result before, and that is on a frequency of 145.480. So it's well over half of the 2 meter band. So I think I got even lower results in the middle. Probably is. But I should probably do a new measurement of everything. I should probably do it. So here is a video that I kind of like took, but I'm not gonna need it because I'm doing like a video right now. But anyway, when I was keying the radio, the amp meter works. Everything works. It's beautiful. So as soon as I'm pushing the push to talk button, it draws 5.7 amp, which is pretty good, and the radio shows I think it was 12 volts or 11.9, while this one shows 11.5. But it works pretty good. I think I using like full power on the radio. I think I set it to high, and it draws 5.7 amps. So it means that the power supply that I got, it does work. It's really amazing. So I just set up a 2 meter station for around $250, perhaps $300, which is pretty good. I like it. So here is the radio itself. I booted up and I tuned in my handheld device, the Anytone radio, and set it to a simplex frequency, 145.600, or I think it was, yeah, 145.600. And I talked into the handheld device and I could hear myself on the Yaesu radio, but when I hit the push to talk button, all I could hear on the Anytone radio was noise. It was not even talking noise, like how to like overrun microphone, like too high microphone sound. It was not even, it was like constant noise. So I don't know what that is. I need to do some research. But if you know, just let me know. But I was looking on the wire to the microphone, the push, the microphone in the hand. It was cracked, so I do suspect that the microphone just doesn't work thoroughly. So maybe I have to buy a new one. I don't know, but that will be worth it. So yeah, the next part of the project is basically to assemble everything on a table, because I didn't do that. It was just for testing purposes what I did today. But the system works. It's pretty good. I had to do all of the small errors, like the noise on the radio when I'm talking. But other than that, as far as I see it, it works. I have to do more testing though. The next project of that is to get the TNC up and running. I got the cable, the A2001 cable. and I think I can use that. If not, I have a radio cable that in my drawer. Basically, that was expensive cable too, like $70 for that cable. But I'm starting to get a Radio Shack here, which I'm very happy with. I think yeah, my journey as a ham operator is becoming true. Uh, HF somewhere after that, I don't know. Either here at this location, I have to apply to to work to set up an antenna. Hopefully, they grant me access to it in the yard. But also maybe also an HF antenna at my dad's house. That'll I'll have to be very nice when I'm asking that. But I think it's been a good 20 minutes of video here, so I think this will be enough. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's not professionally made. I just like sometimes just like to talk to pictures. It's totally unscripted. Hopefully, I didn't make any too many mistakes. But anyway, if you liked the video, just thumbs up or thumbs down. And do subscribe if it will definitely help in the future. And other than that, this frequency is available. Bye bye.